do you think of the fit? It's giving Howl's Moving Castle. It's giving immortal magician in the 20th century. Makes me want to take a bow. Makes me want to do a stand pose. You know? Like, a stand user could be anyone, you know? Okay. Right. Let's go. So, this is a cultural highlight video. We're going to be talking about what I've been reading, what I've been watching recently. Buckle in. But first, I would like to make a formal apology. I made a severe and continuous lapse in judgment. I don't expect to be forgiven. I'm simply here to apologise. So, what have I done? You ask? I posted the vibe. Let me explain. I was in my kitchen and I was making the best soup, right? It was a really, really good soup. It was like chicken broth. It had noodles in it. It had, I don't know, some sort of like barley beans. It was a really good soup. It was delicious. And I was like, I'm gonna sing right now, because you never know when you're gonna catch a tune that you're gonna make into a song later. That was my plan, but I was in the kitchen, I was vibing. I only had coffee that day. I was having my soup, you know? So I was singing and I caught a tune. I liked it. I'm not gonna lie, I liked the tune. And then I had the soup. It was a banging soup. It was a great soup. And so I thought, yeah, send it, post it. So I sent it. And I'm gonna insert it. This is the result. Right here's the result. Every second of the day is when I try to get in touch, and I never thought of you that way before, and I said it was the only thing that I could ever get, cause it's nothing but the feeling like a dog, okay? Maybe you are here for everything you wanted. Okay, so this was how I was feeling when I posted it. Still on soup and coffee vibes, you know? So I said, that rumbling in the audio is the microwave. Literally only posted for lilols, right? So I did that, and then the soup wore off, and then the coffee wore off. I woke up from my stupor and I realised what I posted. And I looked back at it. I looked back at it. And so like 5 hours later, I posted another comment under that, and this is what it read. This is an example why I shouldn't post when I am vibing. I was vibing. The vibes between me and the soup in the microwave was strong. The soup was actually banging. It was banging, to be fair. And so then, gassed up on soup and coffee, I posted the vibe. Whether or not I regret my vibing after a few hours is a true and honest question I am asking myself now. I'm not deleting this, because I am now a concrete warning not to post crap when you be vibing. As Oppenheimer said, vibes can only take you so far. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk. Yeah. All true statements there. Those are all true statements there. Yeah, so I'm gonna be leaving it up. Because I want you to take this as a warning, as an example, as a PSA. If there's anything you take from me today, take this. You might be feeling cool. Don't post it. It's like when you dress up for a night out, all dolled up, and then you decide to take a picture for the Instagram, and you post it. Still on that night out. You're still in the night out. You're with your friends, you're drinking, right? You're vibing, okay? You think you look bomb. You're singing Beyonce like it's the bomb, and you might as well be her, right? Then you wake up in the morning. With a raging headache. Not remembering what happened last night. So you go onto the Instagram, trying to jog up some memories. And you see you. And the monstrosity you've become. And you say, nah, that wasn't me. No, that wasn't me. That can't be me. And then you delete it, and you don't remember it again. but I'm not gonna delete it. I'm not gonna delete it because I value honesty above all else. And I want others to learn from this experience. All this to say, whether it is a vibe or not, sometimes it is better to leave it in the drafts. Okay. Okay, if you've just found my video and have no idea what this was about, then, well, hello there. This is Zurich, and right now we're up in the air where we free fall into books, poetry, and anything else we decide to get into. Now that we're all acquainted, let's get into the cultural highlights. Geronimo. So this is a hodgepodge of things I've been reading and things I've been watching recently. So what I've been reading, the first thing is The Karamazov Brothers by Dostoevsky. So I picked up the Brothers Karamazov, which I think I prefer it that way. I don't like saying the Karamazov Brothers. I prefer saying the Brothers Karamazov because I think I remember it being like that as a child, so that's what I'm gonna call it now. I'm about 60 pages in. I'm enjoying it. If you didn't know what it was about, it's about three brothers, Dmitri, Ivan, and Alushka, who are suspected of killing their father, who is like a really bad person, to be fair. So like, I don't know. No, he shouldn't have died, but he was a bad person. So they're wondering who killed the father, the brothers' father. The brothers all follow like archetype. Dmitri, the oldest, is passionate and reckless. Ivan, the second oldest, is like a scathing intellectual. And then Alushka is the youngest. He's like the cutest. Like I like him. He's a good one. I like him. He is a chaste monk in training and is like incredibly innocent and guileless. I don't know, I like him. So here is a description of him just to get a sense of who he is. My boy Alushka. Yes sirree Bob. Yes sirree Bob. Right, this is on page 17, so quite early on. Everyone indeed loved this young man wherever he went, and it was so from his earliest childhood. When he entered the household of his patron and benefactor, Yefim Petrovich Polonov, he gained the hearts of all the family so that they looked on him quite as their own child. Yet, he entered the house at such a tender age that he could not have acted from design nor artfulness in winning affection, so that the gift of making himself loved directly and unconsciously was inherent to him, in his very nature, so to speak. It was the same at school, though he seemed to be just as one of those children who are distrusted, sometimes ridiculed, and even disliked by their schoolfellows. He was dreamy, for instance, and rather solitary. From his earliest childhood, he was fond of creeping into a corner to read, and yet he was a general favourite all the while he was at school. He was rarely playful or merry, but everyone could see at the first glance that this was not from any soullessness. On the contrary, he was bright and good-tempered. He never tried to show off among his schoolfellows. Perhaps because of this, he was never afraid of anyone. Yet the boys immediately understood that he was not proud of his fearlessness, and seemed to be unaware that he was bold and courageous. He never resented an insult. It would happen that an hour after the offence, he would address the offender or answer some question with as trustful and candid an expression as though nothing had happened between them. And it was not that he seemed to have forgotten or intentionally forgiven the affront, but simply that he did not regard it as an affront. And this completely conquered and captivated the boys. There you go. A little extract for you. Here it is. It's a solid one. Quite big. The brothers Karamazov have a lot of discussions about like religion and has like an incredible grasp on psychology and social issues in 19th century Russia. Yeah, 19th century Russia. Yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. On the other side of the literature coin, I picked up Normal People. Here it is, right here. It's going well. Marianne and Connell are dysfunctional from the start, as expected. There's no speech marks, which from Irish writers is as expected. This is my first Sally Rooney. Yeah, and I'm liking her writing style, especially in connection with Dostoevsky. Look, I'm not saying her writing style is simple. Yeah, okay, so that is what I'm saying. I am saying that. But that is not a bad thing, especially since in Dostoevsky, I've had to read like 10 times about the split of power between the state and the church, and I had to read it at least 10 times to get an inkling of a grasp of what Dostoevsky was talking about. You know when you're so lost that you don't even know the question you want to ask? That is how I felt with Dostoevsky's discussion when they were meeting the father. I don't know, I can't remember his name, so I'm just gonna add it somewhere here. When they were all discussing about the split of power between the state and the church in 19th century Russia. Yeah. So Sally Rooney is really is actually quite nice to be reading at the same time. I'll probably make a video on both of these books, so just keep your eyes peeled for that. I've been watching a show called The Shock of the New. It's like a bunch of essays about modern art from the 1800s up to the modern day, and the modern day being the 80s when this show was made. It talks about a lot of different artistic movements and considerations that influence society and vice versa, how society has influenced artists and influenced their work. So the program is old, so keep that in mind. It's presented by Robert Hughes, who is an absolute savage. He has minus chill. From the start, from the introduction of the first episode, he makes it clear that he does not care about you. You could watch the program, right? You could not watch the program. The one thing that is clear is that he honestly does not care. Like, I'm gonna insert a clip right here, and you can see what I mean.
Now in culture, centuries don't start neatly on cue. Ours didn't. It began round about 1880, and it's finishing up its run now, leaving behind it, in my view, some of the most challenging, beautiful, and intelligent works of art that have ever been made, along with a great mass of superfluity and rubbish. 8 essays on 8 separate themes, trying to look at ourselves and our century through the lens of its art, through painting, sculpture, architecture, photography to some extent, and cinema not at all, because that's another subject. So what can one put in 8 programs? Well, quite a lot, but not everything. You may not see all your favourite modern artists because this is television and not an encyclopedia. And above all, I don't offer it as a substitute for the real experience of art, which can only take place one-on-one, face-to-face, you and the work, without me or my talking shadow.
I don't know why he has to go so hard. Like, I'm here. I wanna watch. Don't bully me, please. So I am only on the first episode. I just finished the first episode, and that one was about technology, how the development of technology has influenced art from 1880 to the end of World War I. It's got 8 parts, and if you enjoyed programs about art development, art history, and you have access to the BBC or a Roku, then yeah, I would give it a watch. It's really interesting. Next thing, so I have jumped on the bandwagon and I am watching the latest season of Love Island, the 5th season, I think. I'm only halfway through episode 2, so no spoilers, please, none at all. But even now, I can tell you these relationships are not going to work out. They're not. Izzy is giving me Barty's connotations, right? He's reading Barty's, and I'm not liking it. I'm not liking his attitude. He seems just not very genuine, kind of just a bit full of himself. Alaya fully hoodwinked Uche. I think that's how you say his name. She hoodwinked him into thinking that even questioning someone cheating was something wrong to do. She came to us like, oh, I don't like how you're judging me. Like, maybe you should be judged. Maybe judging is the right response to someone who cheated 2 years ago and didn't tell her boyfriend. I don't know, maybe that's just my thing. He didn't call her names. He didn't say, I'm not talking to you again. He just questioned her behavior. And she came up to him when they came back to each other and said, look, I felt like you were judging me. And he had to go, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I made you feel that way. It's like, I'm not gonna make you feel that way. Like, why shouldn't I make you feel that way? I'm just questioning your behavior. It's like, oh yeah, it just wasn't working out between us, and you stayed for 3 months. I'm gonna have questions. I don't know. I thought Aaliyah and Uche were going to be the best couple, but now I just think Uche's in for like a lot of trouble, and I'm praying for him. Milton, who's 25, way too young for Leah. And I'm getting the feeling that Leah is using Milton as a rebound after getting rejected by Izzy, and that Milton and her, Lydia's dynamic is kind of maternal. That's not gonna turn out well. That should be cut off, and I don't think that's healthy. Anyway, there's a lot more I could talk about, but this video is getting pretty long for what it is. But if you want a whole video on Love Island, no, not Love Island. I don't want to make a video about Love Island, people. If you want a whole video about Love is Blind, this season, let me know. I'm interested in all types of media. Popular culture deserves to be studied as well. So that's what I've been reading. That's what I've been watching recently. I've recently been listening also, just as an add-in, to Tchaikovsky's Symphony No. 1, Opus 13, Winter Reveries, especially the finale. It's been playing in the background of this video, and I find it pretty cool. I like it. It's classical music, it's cool. Also, I just want to say thanks for the lot of love from the last video. I really didn't think anyone was going to be interested into a deep dive of ads, because personally, I think that it's a weird, it's a weird topic. Thanks, I actually very much appreciate it. And if you subscribe to that, then thanks for being here. I'm going to be making a lot of different sort of video essays. I have a lot of ideas in my head for them, but they take like a reasonably long time to make. So, and I want to do it to the best of my ability. So that's why they're not going to be like churned out, if you get what I'm saying. So they'll come out in like regular intervals, but just not like every week kind of thing. And I'll be posting other things like cultural highlights, I think, books I've been reading, like I'll do deep dives into like literature and poetry and stuff like that. You gotta keep the content fresh, you gotta keep it sizzling, baby. And if my short has indicated anything, you should expect anything under the sun to be posted here, at least in the shorts. It's a wild time in the shorts, I'll tell you. So if you've made it this far, then you're bona fide airhead, and thank you for listening. I'm pretty active on Instagram as like my bookstagram. Oh, and I'm also really active in the comment section, because I want to grow this little community that we have here who are interested in literature and art and like memes and everything else. So if you have a comment it down below, if you have anything to say. Are you reading any of the books? Have you read any of Dostoevsky, Sally Rooney, any of those? Are you watching Love is Blind this season? What do you think? Yeah, anything and anything, put it down in the comments down below. But otherwise, until next time, happy landing. Have you thought about listening to some cultural highlights? Have you thought about listening to some cultural highlights? Have you thought about listening, perhaps, to some cultural highlights? Have you thought about listening to some cultural highlights? Cultural highlights!